Alright, I've got Madden 10 here. To me, one of the most frustrating things with Madden is its inability to simulate NFL football, even within its own rating system. Its ability to seamlessly just string together lines of animations to ensure that whatever outcome it wants to happen is what happens. Now, I'm going to show you two examples with Randy McMichael here, and this is going to be the first one where he seemingly has some sixth sense of football that you would think would apply to the whole team, but then doesn't apply to Mark Bulger. So here you see my defensive tackle is getting double teamed, and he wins the battle. You can see Randy McMichael there is about 3 yards in front of this when he decides to turn around and then dive and chop the knees of my defensive tackle out to prevent this sack. Now, Randy McMichael should never be that aware. I've never seen a tight end run backwards and dive at the knees of a defensive tackle to prevent a sack. Yet Mark Bulger is so stupid, he's going to stand here while he gets blindsided and fumbles the ball. I mean, how is that realistic? How is that simulation? How can you have one player so smart and the other so stupid? Now, another aspect of Madden this year is the fight for the fumble. And I definitely do kind of like the idea for online gameplay, but with offline, the way it's implemented is just terrible. The computer doesn't have any delay when you're playing offline, so you are always behind as the human because you have to see the button you have to hit and then start hitting it. The computer always gets a jump start because EA never programmed the delay into it. So what is the point of having that if this is how ultimately they're going to dictate a fumble recovery anyway, because the team that does recover it on the field has a substantial advantage when the fight for the fumble starts. You see here the ball comes to a stop, and roughly we've got the same amount of players around the ball. We each have 3 if you count Bulger. You can see the ball comes to a stop, and then it just floats into Brown number 60's arms. So why are you going to implement something into the game if it really doesn't matter anyway? So now we go back, and again remember, we compared Jason Taylor and Randy McMichael, and this is another instance of the game just stringing together random animations to ensure that its outcome gets dictated. You can see there's Jason Taylor, here's Randy McMichael. Now look at how much faster McMichael gets off the line. I mean, it doesn't matter that he's got less awareness. It doesn't matter that he's got less acceleration. It doesn't matter that he's got less speed. Apparently that 3-4 difference of agility really comes into play a lot more than anything else because he's able to get leverage on Taylor. Now, when I take control of Taylor, he starts to run backwards, and I'm trying to cut Steven Jackson off here before he can get to the outside. Now, the game realizes this and, again, has to impede my player. Again, it's going to use Randy McMichael. Jason Taylor is going to strafe backwards for a second and then allow Randy McMichael to jump and dive through his legs to take him out of the play. This is not in real life how Jason Taylor and Randy McMichael would interact with each other. Just like that's not how Randy McMichael and a defensive tackle would interact with each other. It's the game's ability to just string together animations at will whenever it wants to dictate plays that really, to me, make this a flop of a game. And it's sad to see and go back and look at a game like All-Pro Football or NFL 2K5 and see that players legitimately do play like their counterparts. Even in All-Pro Football, when you create players, you can create a Jason Taylor and a Randy McMichael that would play fairly accurately, because Randy McMichael just doesn't make either of these plays in real life. Yet in Madden, he becomes one of the most dominant players on the field. Regardless, in this instance, he's playing against a Hall of Fame player in Jason Taylor. So, another big problem I've had with Madden, even though its own ratings don't show things like this should happen, don't show that Randy McMichael should be this dominant, in terms of gameplay, it really doesn't matter. And I've proved those ratings don't matter over and over again. But again, I start playing a game of Madden, and what am I? Barely into the second quarter, and I've already seen 2 things that just totally ruin the immersion, because I know Randy McMichael is not that good. There's no reason for him to be playing like that. So, another instance of why I personally can't stand playing this game. The ratings it has don't even affect it, and I'd much rather play an outdated football game where at least I get a sense of realism, rather than play a game where maybe all the players do look identical in terms of what they look like in real life, but they don't even play like what they should look like in real life, so it doesn't even bother me. I don't care about the graphics, I care about the gameplay. And I think maybe the new the new breed of Madden players just care about the graphics and could care less about how the players react on the field.